Today's episode of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by Jennifer C. at HomeLifeCultureLink.com, Nino Simeka at MortgageGodfather.ca, and Jewelry Forever at JewelryForever.ca. Enjoy the show.
Broadcasting live from Glenmore Record Studios in Toronto, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown, your Sunday morning talk show with interesting guests, live musical performances, and the most fun you can fit in your coffee cup. Hosted by Scott Dion Brown and Regine Alaina, this is The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 146 of The Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown. I am your host, the one, the only, Scott Dion Brown, and I've got a nice frothy latte here today to kick off a Sunday morning here in the city of Toronto. The sky is blue with some clouds. That's your weather report. Hello, Aqua. How are you? Welcome to the show, Aqua. Hello, hello. Hit that like button, everybody, if you haven't yet. But as I said, I'm Scott Dion Brown, and I'm joined here today by the greatest co-host in all the galaxy, the one, the only,
Regine Alaina. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy long weekend, whether you're in Canada or the US. Can you believe it's Labor Day and already September?
The whole year is just disappearing. I don't like it at all. It feels like it's just gone. It's just, I don't even know where the time went, Regine.
Like, how is it already the 9th month of the year? We're in the last quarter of the year. No, it's not the last quarter. Yeah. How is this happening? Like, where did 2021 go? I swear it was just 2020.
It got eaten by the pandemic. Sad.
Facts.
But it's true.
Mm-hmm.
How was your week, Regine?
Busy. It has been one of the busiest weeks in a very long time. And I just did Galaxy, so it's been busy. As mentioned on last week's show, we decided to do a sponsor backpack fundraiser where we were collecting funds and putting backpacks together. At first, Jenna and I were like, oh, will we even be able to do it? Like maybe 30 backpacks. Let's make that our goal. Whoa. We actually got a gracious donation from my work, eScribe, as well as her work. And altogether, we raised over $3,000. It was insane. In a matter of days, we were able to raise that much money, and it got to the point where we're like, what do we do with all this cash? And I knew that Anmal was helping the other Alberta girls, and they were putting backpacks together. So I'm like, Anmal, I'm sending you money, just make these bags because we can't make any more. So we were able to distribute the funds across Canada. So altogether, I am happy to say we actually donated 100 backpacks in Ontario and Alberta together. So a lot of children are going to school with essentials that they need this year, and I am so happy.
Awesome. So thank you to all of you people.
Yes.
Who donated.
Scott, you donated, so thank you. Yes.
I did get a backpack. I did. So that's cool. 100 backpacks got donated to kids who need them. That's really, really great. So that's awesome, Regine.
Thanks. I don't want to say backpack for a long time. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah. You've probably seen enough backpacks for the year, let's say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Congratulations to our women's hockey team. They won gold this past week in a thrilling overtime win against the US in the Women's World Championships. Yes, so congratulations, ladies. You made your country proud. And of course, Canada and US are very competitive rivals when it comes to sports, particularly hockey. Soccer as well, actually, but hockey. So congratulations, ladies. What have I been up to? Hey, Regine, I've been thinking about buying. You know what I want to get? We got new toilets in our place recently.
I'm scared. What do you want?
I want to get those really fancy, those really fancy Japanese toilet seats with the bidet built in.
Uh-huh.
I've been looking into those. I want to get one of those.
You become one of the bougiest people during this pandemic. You get a latte maker, or like one of those fancy cappuccino thingies at coffee makers, and now you're looking at a Japanese toilet cover.
Well, it's being at home, I feel like it makes people want to like, okay, well, I'm just stuck here all the time. So like you just want to make all these improvements around you because it's just where you are. But like I found out about these, like, so you have to run an electrical outlet to behind your toilet because they're electric, and they heat the seat, and then they spray you to wash you, and then they do an air dry to dry you.
This is too much information for first thing in the morning. People are having breakfast, Scott.
Well, it's luxurious. It's luxury. And apparently that's how they have in Japan. All the toilets are like that. And after I've heard about this, I'm like, you know what? I want the best
for your bottom. Got it.
My bottom, exactly. Exactly. So, anyways, that's what I've been shopping.
Keep us updated, Scott. Let us know how your bottom's doing.
I will. Believe me, I will. Well, I think we should bring in our guest, Regine. I'm sure she has.
I don't think she wants to be on the show anymore after that.
No, she's gonna want. She's gonna have an opinion on the bidet situation.
She's trying to exit this conversation.
Yeah. Well, let's find out, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest today is Dr. World Productions national title holder winner, Miss Achievement USA 2022. She's a military spouse, mother, and Navy wounded warrior. And she's a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and currently working towards her teaching credentials, second master's in education.
Second master's?
Yes,
I don't even have one.
Me neither, Regine.
Wow.
Pretty good. Her platform is Innovate Green, encouraging others to think outside the box and use STEM to help solve environmental issues. She's also an advocate for veterans and is the executive director assistant to the nonprofit Mission Warriors. And Mission Warriors provides art as a holistic alternative therapy for veterans and will branch out to first responders.
Wow.
Yes, very interesting person. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the sit down, Anna, Kerry. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
I was enjoying the conversation.
Yes. Have you heard of these fancy toilet seats that are taking the world by storm?
Actually, I have, and it's quite hilarious that you mention it because I've had friends telling me about potential bidet toilets as an alternative, and they do say it's a greener form instead of using toilet paper. So
yeah,
that's very true.
Yes, that's because you do have to use less. Like you just, I mean, I think some people say they don't need it at all, and I guess if you have the air dry, maybe you don't. But I could still see myself, just patting yourself dry. You know what I mean? Well, we're not going to get too graphic, but it's still, that's how it works. But yeah, it's definitely like uses less. The thing is, they really run up in price. Like the one that I'm looking at right now, it looks like it's around $300, but they go up into like the thousands. You can spend a lot. Like they have ones that like, so you walk into the toilet and there's a.
You walk into the toilet.
So you walk into the washroom, the bathroom, whatever.
Just checking.
And when you come in, like the seat opens for you automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like, I know the one I was looking at as well. This is not the one I'm probably gonna get, but this one is like, before you go, it like mists the bowl with electrolyzed water, which apparently makes it so that nothing sticks to the side to make it more hygienic. And then there's ones that play water. There's ones that like spray a like nice smelling smell into the air before you sit down. So the sky's the limit with these things.
My question though is, you talk about it being green, but if you think about how much water you're actually using versus what a normal toilet would use, are you really going greener?
Well, if you think about it, in Japan, the water usage is less. Like if you ever had the opportunity to travel across the countries, like different countries have different systems, and their water system is different from the US in that respect. Like the water is a little bit less. So I'm just curious. You're mentioning the toilet seat going up. Would it have a motion sensor? Is that how it would know?
It must, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I didn't look too closely at that one because they were so. It's like they really jump in price, and I'm like, okay, I'm not spending $1,000 on a toilet seat. Like I'm not there yet.
Are you sure?
I mean, maybe one day. Maybe it'll be like, oh, I can't. I can't be bothered to lift this thing, you know. but it must have a motion sensor, yeah. Because I know that there are ones you can get where you can program it for the individual, like let's say you have two people living in your house. Obviously you have slightly different shaped bodies, right? So you can like adjust the location of like where it sprays, and then it saves it based on like when you sit down, you pick your profile. So they're really advanced. So I'm sure they've got to have a motion detector or something built in. It must. But I do think it's green, Regine, because I know like toilet paper in general, it requires water to manufacture it, right? Because I think toilet paper is made, there's like this whole process where it's made of recycled stuff, and then they have to like put some process to make it white, and like so the whole manufacturing process itself is very water heavy. So I think if you're able to reduce the amount of toilet paper that you use in general, it's
You're
better.
just trying to justify this purchase.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't even need to for me, I'm sold already. It's like at this point I'm just like, which product am I going to get? Which one? So I've narrowed it down to a few. And
so that was our conversation, Anna. Thanks for being on our show. Yeah. This is why you're here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what thing is, some of the reviews I've seen, people will say things like, I never knew that I needed a heated toilet seat, but now that I have it, I can't go back. So I'm curious now, like, what's that going to be? Because it never occurred to me that I would want that, or like that I was missing something. But maybe it's like once you've done it, you know, you're like, wow, I can't believe I lived without this, you know. So that'll be the interesting thing. But anyway, so I'll keep you guys updated. I'll keep you guys all updated on
Please
on my quest. Yes. So I guess we should move on. But Anna, tell us a little about well, now that you just got a taste into some of the weird things I've been looking into through this pandemic. How has the pandemic been for you?
It's been a challenge. I live in California, and right now we are doing things based off of county, but we were one of the first states to lock down in the US and one of the last states to open back up slowly. So I've had to become creative of how I reach out to people as a title holder. And I've got to work on skills that I haven't used in a while, making a lot of things from scratch, homemade. Actually, this morning I made homemade ice cream, and it only required 3 ingredients. Yeah, it's really simple. Wow.
This morning,
Delicious.
What time is it there that you made ice cream this morning?
It was like, I woke up around 6 a.m. So it was about 6:30 a.m. that I made it.
Are you usually up at that time? Like, I know you said before, because we were like, yeah, that's right. It's 8 a.m. for you because you're on the West Coast. And we were like, thanks for getting up. You're like, oh, you're usually up. So is 6 a.m. like usually your regular time?
Yes, or sometimes a little bit earlier. I know. It's really early for some, but I'm an early bird, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, once you get in the habit of getting up, and they say it's actually better for you if you kind of get up at a consistently the same time, like every day. So if you get up, if you're somebody who likes to sleep in, say on the weekends, which is I am, apparently it's like worse for your circadian rhythm or whatever. So it is better.
Oh no, I'm screwed.
Yeah. Have you always been an early riser?
No, not always. I would say it took a while for me with the military, but I didn't really have a choice at that point. And then when I've been deployed and our watch standing and different hours of standing watch, it was interesting because like my whole body was thrown off, with the times to wake up. At some point in time, you just get used to like a certain rhythm, and that's just how it is. And then when you come home, you're just like, okay, it's too quiet here. It's really weird. It's hard to explain. It's just one of those things. It's an adjustment, definitely, with the hours, because you'll find that a lot of military people or veterans may have trouble sleeping, or they suffer from insomnia. And I don't know if that might play a part to it, because we're always changing the hours we wake up and go to bed.
That makes sense.
I see. In fact, I did want to ask, I'm glad you brought it up. I wanted to ask you a bit about it, because so you were in the Navy, and I just wanted to ask a bit about it. Like, so what prompted you to want to join the military, and tell me a bit about your time there?
Sure. So at first I was not interested. I'm going to be upfront. I was, my mom served in the Army, and then my grandfather served in the South Korean War, also in the Army. And my family's from Puerto Rico, so I'm first generation in the States. And my mom's like, you should do the Air Force, you should do the Army, you should do the Navy. And I was like, I don't know, Mom. I'm a very artsy person. I'm not sure. And then then I received this pamphlet, because at the time I was living in Maryland, from the Naval Academy. And I didn't know anything about the Naval Academy. And they have this, it's called Summer Seminar. And it's the summer between your, let me think about this, junior going into senior year of high school. Okay. And you apply. It's very competitive. And so I wasn't expecting to make it in. And they're like, congratulations, you got selected, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so when I was there, I felt like I was around people like me. And I loved that they gave introductory courses and all that stuff. And I love the team building, their whole concepts of integrity, honor, and it just built on from there. And that's where I was like, oh, okay, I have to apply. So that's how it started.
Amazing. That's cool. Yeah. So I have a few friends who joined the military, and they all talk about it really, you learn a lot of things about, like obviously you get training and stuff, but you also learn a lot of things about yourself that I feel like only an experience like being in the military can give you. I guess it's the challenges that you get pushed through, and also the strict schedule and sticking to certain things. And like my friend says, like he says he learned in marching, he like learn more about walking, and how he was walking before was like not like, it's just so many things he learned about himself. Did you find that as well? There were a lot of things that you just realized about yourself joining?
Funny story with my walking. I got in trouble a lot because I didn't know how to like walk neutral, straight, like you're supposed to in the military. I knew more of like the I walk like Latina, swaying the hips, walking. So I got yelled at a lot for that, especially like if we're doing like a pivot turn. I was like, I would like swing my hip out, and it's not intentionally, like I wasn't even thinking about it. So I had to work on that. That was something fun. But go ahead, sorry.
No, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because I've interviewed Beatrice Flores, who is also military based, but is also a beauty queen. And so I wanted to ask you, when you went from your regular walking to military walking, what was it like then, taking the military out of your pageant walk?
Well, it was a lot, because honestly, I wasn't involved in pageantry at all then. That was just the way I walked. And so I've been asked though, in my most recent, the competition, the interview, that how is the military similar to pageantry, or is it? And I said, actually, it is very similar. You have to hold yourself to a certain decorum. You have to walk a certain way. You know, there's an art to it. I mean, it's a different type of mentality and rigor, but similar concepts.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Regine, because that was what I was thinking as well. Is that you would imagine like the military and the world of pageantry to be, well, you don't even really think that they're in the same category at all, you know. But now we're speaking to somebody who's experienced both, and yeah, you're finding that there are. I guess that makes a lot of sense the way you just described it. Well, everything you said. It's like a lot of things that would carry over quite well. So it probably helped a lot. So what prompted you? So you said you had nothing to do or had never been involved in pageantry before. So what was it that prompted you or made you interested to try it out?
So I've always been into watching Miss Universe since I was a little girl. And, you know, I had the opportunity to model as well. And my parents were very focused on me with my academics. So I continue forward. Fast forward, I was injured in the military and I was going through the process of being medically retired. And, you know, remember the year Steve Harvey made the big mistake with Colombia and Philippines? At the time, I was married at the time. So I'm like, I looked up, I'm like, are there any married pageants available? You know, and there were, to my surprise. And I didn't realize how many different types of pageant systems there are out there. And so I finally decided to have the gumption to do it after competing in Warrior Games, because at the time I was very closed to the world. I was, you know, suffering from a lot of things that veterans suffer from, like PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all of that. So it was hard for me to just be open and even leave the house at the time.
Wow.
So tell me a little bit about, you touched on Mission Warriors. I know that you're involved with them quite actively now, but tell us a little bit what is Mission Warriors and about a bit about what they do.
Yes, so Mission Warriors was started by a group of us veterans that began actually with the Warrior Games. We are very artsy people, and we realized if you can do adaptive sports, and so Warrior Games is very similar to the Paralympics, but it's more amateur for military. And so if you can do that, you can do that with the arts. And we could do that with training the mind, because with the military, there's a lot of training the mind, like focusing, not so much meditating, but just focusing on what you're doing, that's ingrained in us. And if we can learn to kind of like make a switch to ourselves in the civilian world and apply that in other areas, we're not as lost as we think we may be. And I think the biggest challenge has been that when you are medically retired or injured, you're like, oh, you self-talk, I'm not good enough, or what am I worth? Like, I've been doing this all my life, I've been in the Navy or Army or whatever. And biggest thing is identifying that you are not the service. You are you, and you still have so much to offer. And there's so many different ways of learning how to cope with that and being open to learning new skills.
That's amazing. So now when you first started with them, you got involved. So were you one of the people who started the organization, or did you compete at first and then you chose to continue working with them, or how did it start?
Well, I was in the beginning stages. Like, I helped pick out the name, and we were brainstorming and everything, and I've just been along the whole time, and we grew. And actually, we were supposed to be at Warrior Games this year at Disney World in Florida, but it got canceled because of the pandemic reasons, which totally understandable. But we had 300 plus wounded warriors and international military and their families there when we were going to offer classes.
Wow.
That's really cool. And I saw, and you sent it, I put it in the link as well, in the description. It was covered in Vogue magazine, right?
Well, the Warrior Games, and that was back in 2017. That was my first ever Warrior Games. And the funny story is I did not want to do adaptive athletics because when I looked at the pictures to sign up, I'm like, I'm not blind. I'm not missing an arm. I'm not missing a leg. How does this apply to me? And when I signed up, I realized invisible injuries and invisible wounds are just as important as those who are, missing arms, legs, eyesight. And it taught me to just be a bit more open-minded. And the Warrior Games was kind of like a saving grace. I met other people like me, and people worse off than me, and we all had stories to share. And it was just really, really fun to get to know everyone and the people from the foreign countries. And it was just so inspirational to just cheer on and watch people compete when you think everything's over. And it's like, no, it's not, it's pretty exciting. And Vogue decided to cover a story, and it was in Chicago. And I was one of the very lucky individuals that was covered in the story, trying to explain the process of medical retirement through the military, because it's very convoluted.
That's amazing. Yeah, like what you just touched on there. It's only, I'm not sure now, but it's fairly recent that finally they're starting to put the emphasis on those invisible wounds, the wounds that people don't see. And I think for a very long time, it was either something that people weren't aware of, or they didn't realize the extent, or maybe just wasn't taken seriously in the same way. And like you just said, you see somebody who's missing a leg or missing an arm. It's very easy to see, okay, I see where this person's wounds are. But the truth is, veterans, there are many types of wounds you can get that, you can't see. And and like you just said, they are just as serious. So I think it's really important what the Mission Warriors is doing.
Thank you so much. We're pretty passionate about what we do. It's important to save lives for us. It's very personal. We have lost fellow veterans to suicide, and we're trying to save one life at a time. Even if it's just one life, it's very impactful.
It's amazing. That's hi Jellyfish, welcome to the show. Sorry you're late. Well, you're here just in time. If you guys are just tuning in, we're here chatting with Anna, Kerry, and we've been talking about some of her time in the Navy, as well as work with Mission Warriors. So talking a little bit about just your time in the Navy. So what were some of the what was some I've spoken to some people who are in the military, but and I've always been so I'm always so kind of in awe of people who join and are willing to do that. I don't know, I want to know a little bit about what is it like, say, on a day to day, say, when you're what is a day like, say, your average day when you're there?
Well, I was a surface warfare officer. So what that meant was I drove those big Navy ships that you see out in the ocean, and I had my watch team. And then sometimes I'd keep an eye out in the combat airspace for combat systems, make sure we don't have to worry about foreign enemies, missiles, all that kind of crazy stuff. And so daily life there's so much noise going on. You hear the engines, you hear whistles. There's bells and whistles for certain times, announcements, and you have morning breakfast, and then everybody just gets to their thing. And it really depends. Everybody has different tours. So I was in engineering tour my first round, which I had I wasn't expecting it. I was supposed to be in operations, I thought, according to my orders. But they're like, congratulations, you're in engineering and you're going to be the auxiliaries officer. And I'm like, what's the auxiliaries officer? So.
What is the auxiliary? Like, I was going to ask, what is the auxiliary?
So the auxiliaries officer, they are responsible. So I was on an amphibious ship, which they transport Marines to and from and equipment. And I'm responsible for the hydraulics of the ship, like the side port doors, like the cranes, all that stuff. And I was responsible for hotel services, such as like the AC, the hot water, and all of that. And, you know, I had a small group of people in my division, but, you know, we got a lot done. And it was just funny because people are like, you don't want to be mean to OXO. That's what they would call us for short, because like they're responsible for hot water.
Hot water.
And the AC.
Very true.
Yeah.
Awesome. So one thing, it was a very, very noisy experience. There was always...
Yeah, there's always noise. So it's just like you get really used to it and you don't notice it anymore. Of course, when you go into engineering spaces, you got to make sure you wear hearing protection and all of that. You interact with a lot of different people. It's close quarters. There's lots of different hours you're standing watch in addition to doing your job and other side jobs. So it was a lot going on. I don't know. I loved driving ships. That was, I just
That's
loved
really
it.
cool.
So, I don't know. It's weird because like now that I have a vehicle, like I can't do small cars. I love big cars. Yeah. Anyways.
That makes sense. Did you find, like you said, you get used to the noise when you're there, but was it something you find like maybe if you on days when you were maybe back at shore or whatever, did you suddenly notice like you were so used to how noisy it is, but suddenly you're aware of how quiet it is when you're not?
Yes. And then when you're out at sea for a really, really long time, sometimes this does happen. You go onto land and the land feels like you're moving back and forth.
Oh.
Because you're so used to that motion. Wow.
Interesting. Actually, I just saw something about that recently. There was a video talking about how it's the same thing. Like if you're somebody who plays like, you know, the game Tetris?
Yes.
If you're somebody who plays Tetris for hours and hours, everywhere you look, you start to like see how things like fit into each other. And then he said in that same, and that's all related to, it's the same thing. He mentioned that people who spend a lot of time at sea, it's that if you're so used to it, even when you're not at sea, you kind of feel that same thing. Did you ever have to deal with seasickness? Did you have to adjust to that? Was there a period?
One time we were in some really bad storms, and it was while we were in deployment, and the seas got up to 14 feet high. Everybody was just like holding on to dear life.
It's like something you see in a movie. That's crazy. So now that you have kids, and would you encourage them to join the military?
Well, I would if they want to. I think it's their personal choice. I know I was encouraged as a kid and I was like, no. And I think it was because I was just being rebellious and I didn't want to be open-minded. But I want to expose them to that lifestyle at least. Like my husband's an active duty Marine, and me being prior Navy, we can share that and let them decide for themselves if that's the path they want to go, because it's not for everyone, you know, just like anything else in life, it's not for everyone.
Wow. Because I guess you'd be now the third generation, right, in your family to have joined. Wow. Amazing. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Regine, why don't we do the ad break since we're about 37 minutes in? And then we're going to come back and chat more with Anna, Kerry. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode of the Sit Down with Scott Dion Brown is brought to you by some very important people, right, Regine?
Mm-hmm.
They are our advertisers. They make this show possible. Hey, Regine.
Yes, Scott.
Do you want to find out what your home is really worth?
Maybe.
Are you buying, selling, investing, or renting a home?
It might be.
Then Jennifer C., Realtor at Home Life Culture Link, is here to help. Call or text Jennifer today at 647-403-8887. Don't deal with just anyone. Speak to a professional. Jennifer C. at Home Life Culture Link. To see her current listings, visit homelifeculturelink.com. Nino Saimeka, mortgage agent. The Mortgage Godfather is here to give you advice with any mortgage needs you may have, and he will shop to find you the best mortgage. Nino Saimeka, mortgage agent. He'll give you an offer you can't refuse. He'll give you an offer you can't refuse. Find out more at mortgagegodfather.ca or call 905-604-6955. Jewelry Forever. Conveniently located at CF Markville Shopping Center on 5000 Highway 7 East Markham. They do custom-made jewelry, repairs, and change watch batteries, all done on site. Jerry over at Jewelry Forever is an absolute artist. He specializes in custom work. If you have a vision for something beautiful that you would like to be into jewelry, he is your man. And we have an amazing deal worked out with them, don't we, Regine?
We do. If you let them know that Scott and Regine sent you, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase.
That's right. 15% off, 15%. If you mention the show, tell them Scott and Regine sent you. Get a great deal on a beautiful piece of jewelry. Find out more at jewelryforever.ca. And if you would like to advertise on the show, it's very easy, right, Regine?
It's simple. All you guys have to do is email us at radioshowad, that's radioshowad, @gmail.com.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we do this show live every week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do the ads live every week. What does that mean? It means that you can personalize them week to week. So if you have a sale or an event, something happening at a particular time in a particular place, you let us know. We let your potential client base know in real time. It's an amazing way to build a brand new relationship with a potential new audience. Get in touch. Radio show ad, radioshowad @gmail.com. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Miss Achievement USA 2022, Anna, Kerry. If you're just tuning in, we've been chatting about a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to ask, it's fairly recent that you've become Miss Achievement. Is that a new
Yes.
title? So how's the reign been since then? I know there have been challenges because of the pandemic, but what's it been like?
It's been interesting actually, because with my approach this time around, I really want to emphasize the realism to pageantry, that anybody can do this. It doesn't matter like what size you are, what you look like. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is the authenticity you bring to it. And I feel like by sharing, what we're doing and just keeping it real, it makes a huge difference. I think that's what people want to see, not just in pageantry, but in a lot of different areas.
Mm-hmm. And what was it like? Because I know your pageant was virtual. So what was it like having your experience on stage versus the virtual world of pageants?
So, this wasn't exactly my first virtual pageant. Actually, I competed at Miss Earth USA, the Mrs. division. Yes. And so we did like a hybrid. The interviews were virtual, and then we went to nationals in person to compete for all the other stuff. So I found like, that's really nice. Just get interview out of the way, and all you have to do is show up and do your thing. But this pageant was different because you have to have certain categories. 50% is the interview, 30% is evening gown, which you video yourself. The other 10% is photogenic, and the 10% is workplace video. So 2 of those items, any videos that you take, it's required by our system that it's done by yourself. It's not done by a professional. So everybody's on the same playing field. And so I remember us having our interview the same day as we got crowned. And I competed. I was grouped together with the international ladies and scored alongside with them. And I remember my heart like literally coming out of my chest as they were introducing everything live virtually. I'm like, I have no idea where this is gonna go. But it's almost no different. But I'll be upfront, it's more convenient at home. You save a lot more money if you think about it with hotel, air expense, and it doesn't diminish the importance of the job and the system.
Well, Dr. World Productions has definitely grown within the last year. We actually had Angel on our show when she first won, and that was the first year that this pageant had taken place. And now to see, there's a 2020, 2021, now 2022 winners, and to see the wide range of women that are competing for the titles, it's very empowering to see that as well.
It definitely is. And our motto is because smart is beautiful, and it really truly is.
Awesome. Also, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about Innovative Green.
Oh, yes. So Innovative Green, I came up with that platform some years back. So I'm really big about taking care of the environment. Hence, I was part of the Earth system for a little bit. And when I was out at sea, I witnessed a lot of plastic bottles in the ocean. And so I felt like I had to come up with a solution. And with being an adaptive athlete and working with other athletes with missing limbs, I found a solution. I found a nonprofit that actually takes plastic bottles and they turn them into prosthetics. So that's how it all started initially. And then it kind of grew from there. Like it expanded because with becoming a teacher, my focus is kindergarten through 8th grade. And I want children to be aware that they can be part of the solution too. They're not too young to be part of the solution. And it is okay to think outside of the box and be creative. It's actually there's been studies done that allowing them to be creative that way actually helps them grow.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that makes sense that you would have witnessed that, because I've heard of that, and I know that like they talk about there's that giant, basically island of plastic that's in the middle of the ocean right now. That all the plastic, I guess, gets pushed together by the currents and stuff. And yeah, you probably would have witnessed it firsthand. So that's cool. So they're recycling it and making it into prosthetics. That's awesome. Cool. Is there a way that people can support it if they want, or if they want to find out more about Innovative Green, or how can people
sure. Honestly, just reach out to me through my Miss Achievement USA page, or even my personal Mrs. A. Kerry, and we can go from there.
Awesome. And the focus right now, so your main focus is getting plastic out of the oceans then?
Part of it. The other part I've recently been doing is food insecurity, helping people learn to grow their own gardens.
Nice.
So, with grocery stores and everything with the pandemic, it's been a real challenge with people losing jobs. So learning to become self-sufficient and having like those urban gardens, they're so-called, or suburban gardens, that would help them. Because, I mean, if you think about it, one of the things that kids really affect them in school is not having the sustenance that they need, the food.
Yeah.
And so that's a big part of it.
I love
Cool.
that.
In terms of, in fact, what are some things like? Because I was just thinking about it as you mentioned it. Is it hard? I mean, is it something if you were wanting to say start to grow some of your own stuff? Is it something that you need to have like a yard, or can you grow stuff indoors if you have like an apartment, or is it fairly limited to what you can do?
It really depends also on the environment that you're in, like with the weather. But you could totally do it indoors. You can do it outdoors, and something to consider would be the type of plants and the seasons. There's also what's called hydroponics. I don't know if you've heard about that, but basically you can grow your plants using water and light. And there's also, if you do like search on YouTube, there's ways that people can grow plants from onions or carrots or whatever it is. Like if you just do a little research on YouTube, like from just having the root, it's pretty neat.
Cool. That's something I would like to look
Scott's
into.
next project.
Well, that's one thing that the pandemic has done is I find myself just like, I don't know, I guess you watch a lot of like videos and things pop up. And so there are lots of little things that I'm like, oh, I can do that. Oh, maybe I'll try it. So I'm like, I'm all over those things.
And now you're vegetarian, so you can make your own food, Scott.
That's true. I am a vegetarian now. Are there any things like that maybe through the pandemic that you found yourself, I don't know, doing or like learning about that you probably wouldn't have if we hadn't been forced at home?
Actually, I was part of a group called Project Mask. And remember with the shortage of N95 masks, we like across the country gathered groups of people to help us make reusable masks and distribute them all over to hospitals, medical personnel, first responders in need, military, people who have medical conditions that prevents them from going out because of the pandemic. We made over 200,000 reusable masks during that time frame.
That's amazing.
So we got really creative with how we did it. I couldn't have done it without the support of all the people in our group.
Awesome. Actually, I remember seeing on the news a few times, because that's right, I kind of forgot, because now I guess we've all caught up to it now. Like now you every store you walk into, they're like, there's so many masks everywhere. But that's right, at the early stages, there was this real rush to, and I remember there was some news there. I saw something on the news about some organizations that were like, they were making masks and sewing them together, and it's cool. That was probably you guys. That's so cool.
Part of it.
Is there still a mask mandate in California?
It depends on what county we're in. Right now, it really depends on the business and whether you've been vaccinated or not too. But it could always change, like at least in my county.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, here too, we still have to wear them indoors. Right, Regine? We have to wear them in businesses indoors. I think that's still the rule.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're allowed to gather now under. Are there still restrictions on the size? I don't even know if they have that anymore.
Honestly,
I
had an interview yesterday, and they asked me the same thing, and I'm just here like, I don't even know what we're at. I just said, there's a capacity limit depending on the type of place that it is. But it's just crazy to think that, for example, Alberta, there is no mask mandate and they can do whatever they want. But then you come to Ontario and we're just like, nope, you gotta wear your mask still. You gotta figure it out. So
yeah, and then like you were just saying, Anna, kind of it can change at any time, right? It changes day to day based on numbers, I guess, or whatever the situation is. As new information comes up, I mean, the whole thing is in flux. It's so weird how masks are such a normal part of life. In fact, I realized so yesterday I released a new vlog on my channel. You guys can check it out if you want. But the vlog, it was a behind the scenes vlog of when I was working on my short film. But I actually filmed it like a long time ago, like before the pandemic, because well, that's just when we were working on it. But then I never got around to actually editing it until now. But there's one part in the video where I'm making a prop, and I decided to use a dust mask, right? And in the video, it's funny because like I'm explaining. Oh yeah, I took this. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but it's like a dust mask. It's like a mask that you wear on your face. Anyway, I got right, and I'm looking at myself say that, and I'm like, there's no way I would say that, because like nobody now would not know what that is. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, that's just something that's totally changed, because it's like, yeah, you see this thing? I don't know if you guys know this, but it's like a mask that you can put over your face. And I was like, oh, I was so, I had no idea what was just around the corner that time. So
that's funny though, that
that is hilarious.
Took you that long to put out this vlog.
Well, yes. I mean, yeah. Well, because you know the thing is, because it's a behind the scenes vlog, and then obviously it took so long to put out the movie. But then at the time when, even though the movie was taking forever to come out, it felt to me like it was hard for me to justify like spending time editing a behind the scenes vlog when I wasn't editing the movie itself. You know what I mean? Like it would be like, it felt like it'd be a waste of resources to like put time here. So now that the movie was finished, I could finally turn around and do the behind the scenes vlog, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah. Anna, do you have any, I don't know, any hobbies or things you like to do? Stuff you like to do for fun, or when you have downtime?
Yes, I do. So I really do love to spend time with my family. I know it sounds cliche, but I try to make the most of it, especially with my military life. We just never know what's going to happen. And I spend time with my cats, and I love to cook and bake things from scratch. I make a lot of homemade cold brew coffee. And school has been taking a lot of my time. I'm a full-time student right now, and we're actually back in the classroom. I'm wearing masks and stuff, but it's kind of weird after not being in the classroom for over a year. So that's been interesting. I still wear a mask, of course, but have you noticed that you've gotten sick less? I mean, God forbid that you got COVID, but I'm just saying with wearing a mask all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I find, usually at say through winter, I'll usually get like at least maybe like a sniffle or something, like little, not even necessarily a huge cold. Sometimes I get a cold, but like I've gotten nothing. Like I haven't gotten sick at all through this whole thing. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's because the stuff that we're doing to, you know, prevent COVID is also stuff that works really well, and just in general getting rid of, keeping you. So
no, it's true. Like for me, I'm prone to bronchitis. Like I get it at least once a year. And so now I'm like, when was the last time I had to take antibiotics? Like, thank goodness. But I have found that my allergies are a lot more severe, because I'm like, oh no, because now you're outside more and you want to get fresh air, but then everyone's working on their yards, and I'm like, okay, here comes allergy season. But what I do like, and I guess in California it's different, because when it starts to get cold here and I'm walking outside, I will just put my mask on and pretend like it's a scarf. I'm like, oh, I'm warm again.
I love that. Yeah, I don't know if any of you experienced this, but like even if you get something stuck in your throat and you're somewhere and you have the mask on, you're like, don't cough, don't cough, don't cough. I swear it's not COVID. I swear.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, I'm sure that's happened to each of you, but yeah, it's just like one of those things, like hold it back. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't be that person.
Right.
And the problem is I find now, like, I guess it's still the same when you're walking around, and like if you hear a cough, like it's like your ears, like if we had dog ears and they could like pick up, it'd be like who's that?
Who did that? Stay
What's
with
that guy
me.
doing?
Yes.
So you know. And I do think that's definitely one of the things that even after whenever we're outside of this thing, I feel like those are little things like that. I think are going to be things that stick around for quite a while after.
But I've always been like that. If I ever hear people coughing on the subway, I'll be like, "Get away from me! That's gross. Cover your mouth. Wear a mask."
I guess I reacted, but the thing is, it would have had to been like, if I was on the subway and a guy was like really coughing up along, like right, then I'm like, ugh, and I'll want to step away. But now I find I'm more sensitive to it, where it's like I could hear like a light cough somewhere, and I immediately like looking for it. Whereas like I don't know, like I said, I was in the library, and like it's pretty normal in a quiet building like a library, you'll hear the odd like, that wouldn't bother me. But now it's like as soon as I hear it, I'm like, where's that? Where'd that come from? So.
Yeah,
it's definitely like dog or cat hearing you perk up. You're like, wait,
who did that? Yeah,
exactly.
It's just crazy how we've all adapted to this pandemic. Like for Galaxy, my mask matched literally every outfit that I had. To think, like I sat here and I was like, okay, what am I going to wear and what color masks do I need to make sure it works out? How has this become a thing?
Right? It's crazy. It is so crazy.
That's true. It's become.
But we're living through it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people do. I guess it becomes, it's really weird, and then people kind of adjust, and then it just becomes normal, which is bizarre. But that's the thing, how quickly, Regine, it becomes like, first it's this, okay, just get anything you can, and now like a little while later, it's like, you can get every color, so it becomes part of the fashion, and then got companies manufacturing now. Here's the best mask. Oh, here's a more luxurious one. Here's one, and like I'm seeing accessories for masks. I'm seeing like, have you seen these things that I guess instead of putting it around your ears, there's like this plastic thing that you put around the back of your neck.
So ugly.
And it clips on, but but I guess it must be good for the ears because one thing I have found. And like most of the time I don't. Yeah, the ears start to hurt. Like if you're wearing the mask for a really long time, even when I put it on, like it doesn't feel like it's pulling very hard. But I do find like after a couple hours, it just feels a bit more sensitive back there. Like it does get a little uncomfortable. So
you know who I feel for? The people with facial hair.
Oh yeah.
And you have like
that's a really
beard,
good point.
And then you have like the indent. Oh, my fiance has that. So whenever he takes his masks off, he's like, don't ask me for a picture because there's like an indent of just, it's funny actually, but.
Well, and I know if you work if you're in like a hospital or anything where they have to wear the more serious masks, those ones you can't have facial hair, right? I think that's why those guys, they have to shave like almost daily because it needs to be like a solid seal on the face. So. Yeah, wow. They've definitely got it the worst with that stuff.
We should do the sit down face mask, Scott. Why did we not jump on this?
Oh yeah, we could have done a sit down face mask.
Goodness. We're a little too late now. Or are we?
I mean, it's never too late. I mean, I've seen some masks where you could open up for a straw.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, for like when you go to like a sporting thing. Yeah.
Like a little Velcro thing or something.
Yeah, you just go.
You just open it and you could put your beer or your straw through. Wow. I'll send it to you, Scott. So when you go to these sporting events, you're set.
Yeah, actually, I did. Yeah, that's the thing. I did go to a sporting event. Although, you know what I found? Like, so the rules there, it was like you have to stay away from everybody, and you have to wear masks at all times except when eating or drinking, right? But what I found was once we got to our seats,
everyone's drinking.
But and even when they're not, like it was basically the seats were mask free, basically. Like that's just in practice, that's what it was. Because and I felt okay. I mean, one, like I said, they spread people out, so like there was nobody in the seats beside me or behind me, in front of me, and then also I was fully vaxxed as well, and we were outdoors, but maybe if everybody had those masks with the little Velcro thing. You could have stayed on. So, so we'll see. Yeah, it's a weird time.
It is.
Yep. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, I've been working on exams with my teaching credential. California is one of the states in the United States where the teaching credential is pretty rigorous. And there's a bunch of different certification exams in addition to other requirements. So I've been taking exams, and then I have to do a lot of student teaching. And that's a challenge too, because of some schools, they're like, we're not accepting anybody from the outside. And then some schools are virtual. Like it's different per school. So that's the challenge we are facing right now. And I've just been really focused on that, to be upfront, and then also on the Mission Warriors, the nonprofit, to see our way ahead, because we do offer virtual classes too.
Cool. Is teaching something that you've always wanted to do, or was it something that you realized you wanted to do later on, or where did the desire for teaching come for you?
It was an accident. It was a happy accident. When I was out of the Navy, one of my friends was like, "Hey, you should sign up to be a substitute teacher in some elementary school." I was like, "I don't know how I will be with little kids." It's not like I'd never had experience with that, because my parents, so my mom is one of 10 children. So I have a bunch of cousins, and I babysat. So I was petrified of walking in, and I didn't know what to expect. But once I was in there, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And so many people are like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? I'm like, yes. So I've been on that path ever since.
That's awesome.
So it hasn't always been there though.
That's cool. Well, because teaching is such a unique profession in that it's there are people who they could be very good at doing a thing, but having the ability to actually teach it doesn't necessarily carry over, because it's a very, very specific or a different skill set. But that's cool. So you found you as soon as you walked into the class, you suddenly you found what did you find that made you, do you think, that pulled you towards it? Like, what was the experience? What about the experience?
I love children naturally. I just wasn't so sure if I'd be good at teaching. I had a lot of self-doubt, but I've always been very much a kinesthetic learner, growing up and through the military. So I try to use those skills and make it into games, and the kids just have so much fun learning. And it's just so important to have that enthusiasm too in the classroom, and faith in the kids that they will do well, that it just makes such an impact.
Cool. Yeah, because kids, they can definitely they can detect when the enthusiasm, if you've got enthusiasm, then they will kind of feel it, and they can be carried along with it, right? And if they feel like you're not into it, then they can detect that and almost not get into it as well, right? So
yes,
yeah.
So. They don't underestimate the perception of a child. They are pretty perceptive little beings. And if you're ever uncertain of yourself, they will pick that up too.
Yeah. And they're also, especially younger ones, they're also very honest. They
are.
As we become adults, we kind of learn, I realized this. So when I was studying to be an actor, right, we did a period of children's theater, and we went around to some local schools and did some performances. And the thing that you realize is
oh no,
if you do a bad performance in a play geared towards adults, right, the adults might hate what you're doing, but we've all been socialized to we're not going to start booing, or we're not going to just leave, or start talk. This is boring. Let me talk to my friend. You know what I mean? We've all been taught, no, in the theater you're quiet, right? Kids don't have any of that. So it's if your performance is off,
they will tell you.
Yeah, they will tell you, right? So yeah. So that's cool. So you found that you're you were able to connect with them in that way. What's cool about that, it sounds like, so then you were able to remember what worked for you, or what you connected to as a child, and you were able to apply that into your teaching style?
Yes.
Cool. You ever find that I've been pretty good talking with kids myself, but I've often found that there are some adults who I don't know what happens to them if they forget what they were like, or like I don't know.
Yes.
I talk to some adults where I'm like, were you ever a child? Like, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
So like, I've never. Yeah, go ahead.
It's so important to stay young at heart. I know as we get older, like people are like, oh, you're gonna get so old, blah blah blah. But I think if you stay young at heart and just have a pretty open mind, you're gonna be able to connect with the children.
100%.
Yeah, because I don't have the greatest. I don't know, for some reason your camera looks a little distorted right now. I'm trying to fix it, but we can still hear you fine. I'm just trying to adjust it. But anyway, I will keep talking while I try to fix it. But yeah, like I don't have perfect memory of like being a child. Like I can't remember a lot of like specific things, although there's the odd ones that pop up. But I can definitely like kind of remember how I saw things, or like things like I'll see a movie and I'll be like, wow, if this movie came out when I was a kid, like I would be all over this movie. I don't know if some people, they just, I don't know, they forget, or they don't know. I don't know. Like even people like my own age who are like, now they want to, like when they want to try to talk to teenagers and they're like, oh, do you guys think you'll like this? And I'm like, don't you? Yeah, and it's like, don't you remember, like if you were when you were a teenager and an adult would talk to you like that, like you're some other animal, like that would obviously not appeal to you. So like, did you I don't know.
You
I've
have
never
to
really
treat them.
that.
Yeah, you have to. I find that with kids, it's almost like you have to treat them like little adults, but without being friends, because there is a fine line. So it's just really interesting. You don't want to change too much of how you really are. You just got to make yourself more fun, but not change how you talk to them.
Mostly using more simpler words. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like just basically getting on their level, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they love choice. If you give them choices, and they're part of choosing whatever it might be, they're more open to, I guess, listening and working with you.
That makes sense. Yeah, I guess in general, just talking to people like they're, a fellow human being. And I think I find that works kind of with everything and everyone. Like if you kind of approach every person you meet kind of as just like, just another person, because I find it's not just with children. I find some people, same thing with like dealing with like really older people, like senior citizens and stuff. You'll find that some people talk to them like, again, like almost like they're a child in some way, and I find it's the same thing, whereas it's like it's just a person.
It's just a person. Same with celebrities. If you ever encounter celebrities, it's just like they just want to be treated normal,
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah. Just talk to each other, people.
Yes.
Yeah.
At a 6 feet distance.
Oh yeah.
Yes, 6 feet.
That's right. Like that's the one thing with one thing I'm definitely glad about is that I'm not a child having to deal with school now. I feel like going through the whole pandemic, it just feels like there's so many additional things that they have to deal with.
Oh yeah.
So,
Like,
I mean, oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Social media, I mean, I don't know if you had to deal with that much growing up, but I know I didn't. And then children interacting with each other, that's so crucial to their development. So I can see how that might have had a huge effect on them with going virtual.
I was going to say it's crazy to think because we were talking about masks earlier and adapting. When we were putting backpacks together, it was interesting. So we found, you know, when you used to go to school and you'd buy a backpack and it was like backpack and a lunch bag attached to each other? We found some that were backpack, lunch bag, pencil case, and in the pencil case was a face mask. And we're like, what has this world come to that these backpacks come with a face mask? Or there was an Elsa backpack and there was a little pouch and like a clear pouch in the front. And we're like, what goes in that clear pouch? And then we realized it's the same size and shape to put a face mask. I'm like, wow. What is going on?
That's amazing. Whoa.
Yeah, it's
2021.
So weird. And like kids, I know kids are very, malleable. Like they can adjust to things and they bounce back from things. But it's so weird to think like these are going to be like they're going to look back and like they're 10, 20 years later and be like, and their childhood will be like, yeah, and then we all had to have masks and we all wore those to school. And...
Picture day, they're all going to have a face mask.
Yeah. Oh, my grandma, my dad. You talking about me, Scott? Old, I mean. No, Dad, I was talking about you.
You're in trouble.
No, I was talking about very, very old. I don't know. I just
Careful what you say, Scott.
I'm just noticing, like, it's just when you have people who are like, they'll talk to an older person like, oh, yeah, do you want to have the dessert with it? And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just this weird, and I find people almost talk to them the same way that you would talk to kids, and I think it's the same thing. Like, unless the kids are very, very, very small, most kids, if you just talk to them normally, they respond better. But like you said, there's that fine line between, especially if you're teaching them and you have to be kind of an authority figure. You don't want to establish that you're just like their buddy, because then if they feel like they're your buddy, then they'll almost feel like they don't have to listen to you. So there's there's that tightrope you have to walk. But I think it's very fulfilling, right? When you
it is.
Work with them.
It really is. Like it's just so awesome to see their eyes light up when they understand something and learn something new. And they come home to mom and dad and talk about it, and they're still talking about it when they come back in the classroom and are eager to learn more. So I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially if they can really, when you connect with them in that way, because otherwise you don't want to have that feeling where they feel like they're getting information just thrown at them, but then they don't fully understand it, or they don't understand what they would use that for. And it's because I remember having some experiences like that when I was a kid. Like, I think to myself now, I feel like if I had been taught math a little differently, I would have had more of an appreciation for
numbers,
what it's actually for. Like, it was very much just like, okay, memorize this equation, now memorize this equation, you know what I mean? And it didn't feel like I couldn't understand it. And I actually feel like now I appreciate what math is more now that I've, heard, like, I don't know, physicists and people who use it in like space and in engineering, because I understand now, I get it. It's I can use math to know, how fast things are going to fall down, or like, I feel like I would have, I feel like I could have been better at maths if I'd been, taught it in a certain way. So.
Yeah, I feel like with math, with the children, it's one of those things, you use it every day. Like what's important is when you're teaching them, you try to bring it back to something they're familiar with. Like, for example, if they have siblings and you're trying to teach fractions, and then there's a piece, like there's a big pie, and you cut it into, so many slices, and brother A and sister C, B, whatever, and you associate it like that, or put different names for different characters or students, and then you give the scenario and help teach them the concepts. Because honestly, we use math in everything that we do.
Yeah, and in ways that we almost you don't even realize. And then there are also little things where, like, there may be a way that you're doing something that's kind of complicated, but then there's actually like a pretty simple mathematical way that you could do it, So anyway, that's cool. I feel like I just feel like you're I don't know, teaching them the right way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best. I mean, there's so much to learn. Definitely my eyes have been opened from, the way we've been taught and the way they are teaching now. I feel like it's very different style, and we really study the psychology of children and their development growing up. That's a huge part of it. And then like the types of reinforcement and like, for example, like positive reinforcement, which you would praise a child for doing something really well. And as opposed to negative reinforcement, like, you will get in trouble if you do X, Y, Z. We found that if you focus on the positive things, like going on in the classroom, more of the students will follow that example. So if you kind of ignore the trouble child and you're like, oh, I love how so-and-so is raising their hand, then all the other kids are like, oh, I want to do the same thing. I want to get praised. Instead of focusing, hey, problem child, blah, 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 blah. And then everybody else starts following that. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And I guess in a way it kind of makes sense. And I imagine it probably has the effect of because oftentimes when kids act out, they want some kind of attention. So it's almost like if you don't reward the problem child's way of getting the attention, then they'll almost, okay, well, how can I get attention? Oh, I see. I get attention when I behave well. Okay, maybe I'll behave well instead.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. I found that to be true also in because I do a lot of live streams, like gaming streams, and we get quite a few different kids of different ages. But I found do the same thing. Like sometimes you get kids who'll come in and I know that they're just trying to troll, or they'll say something mean, or and I think they're trying to get a reaction. And I've just found I don't really like that in my streams. But I find it when I just don't acknowledge that it's there. Like, so I see a comment that is not nice, I'll just read the nice one underneath it. So it's like it wasn't even there. And I find within a few seconds or a few minutes, that person's either changed or they're not saying anything anymore. Well, because it's like if you don't feed that, then then they don't get the oxygen that they want.
That's true.
It's been a very interesting interview, Anna.
Yeah.
From the military to the school to pageantry and face masks.
And bidets.
Yes. We ran the whole gamut. We covered everything.
We did.
Pretty good. All right, awesome. Well, we're gonna wrap up shortly, but before we do, Anna, tell us, please let us know any social media where people can either get in touch and all that stuff.
Yes, I can be found on Instagram at Ms. Achievement USA or Mrs. A. Kerry, which is my personal one. I also have under there at Mission Warriors as my nonprofit if you want to support. We also have a Facebook page, Mission Warriors, and my Miss Achievement USA Facebook. It's the same, so it's not too confusing. And then I also have a personal Facebook page, Mrs. A. Kerry.
Perfect.
Awesome. And Regine, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at It's Regine Alaina. Or if you like to follow my new journey to the Galaxy Crown, you can follow my new Instagram and Facebook handles at Mrs. Galaxy Southern Canada. Where can they find you, Scott?
You can find me right here where you're watching this very video, youtube.com/Scott Dion Brown. I just posted a brand new vlog yesterday. A bunch of you guys tuned in for the premiere, so thank you for that. But if you haven't checked it out yet, it's a behind-the-scenes look at the making of my new film, Storage Room B, which will be premiering at the Gen Con Film Festival on from September 16th to 19th in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I believe there will be a way to see it online. I think there's an online element. I'm still finding out exactly the details how that works, but I will be sharing it. But anyway, subscribe, youtube.com/Scott Dion Brown. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter right there at Scott Dion Brown. But YouTube's the best place. Well, Anna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It was great. I think it was a lot of fun. I thought we talked about a lot of interesting things. And it was really cool hearing about your experiences in the Navy, and it seems to have had also a very major impact on later things that you chose to do afterwards. So pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Thank you.
All right,
I appreciate
everybody.
it.
Yeah, thank you. And so people, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week with another episode. And also tomorrow there's going to be, actually I lied. There's no stream tomorrow because it is a holiday. So there won't be a stream tomorrow. Yeah. Next stream, I'll be back streaming some Minecraft on Tuesday, ladies and
There
gentlemen.
you go.
And but yeah, please hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Make sure you follow these two. I'm pointing to both of you. So
Yes.
follow those two, everybody, and thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.